And now you can see the Backseat Mogul Show in all its video glory on our YouTube page at roughedge.tv.
Rough Edge FM at roughedgefm.com.
There's no better place for breakfast or lunch than Harbor Cove Cafe. This hidden treasure, located in the beautiful Ventura Harbor, is locally owned and operated and serves your favorites like hamburgers, sandwiches, and fish and chips, as well as island specialties like their delicious Loco Moco and famous Hawaiian burrito. Enjoy the magnificent view of Ventura's famous Two Trees and the Topa Topa Mountains while you sip on something from their full espresso bar, or perhaps tip back a cocktail mixed up by the legendary Dazu Prime. For more information, please visit online at harborcovecafe.net or give them a call at 805-658-1639. Harbor Cove Cafe, located at 1867 Spinnaker Drive in the Ventura Harbor. We'll see you there.
Showbiz is a cruel and shallow money trench, a long plastic hallway where thieves and pimps run free and good men die like dogs for no good reason. There's also a bad side.
This is the Backseat Mogul Show, live here on Rough Edge FM. Yes, we have some new equipment, and I'm getting used to it. I seem like I'm making excuses every single week for this kind of stuff. See, you're still muted, so hold on.
Yeah.
Go now.
I look at it this way. It's part of the show.
Well, the show keeps getting better because of it. You know, we got this brand new Tascam board. I think the sound quality is way better than it used to be. You can certainly hear me a lot easier than you used to be able to. Hopefully, it's going out to the audience that way as well.
What?
And John's trying to be funny. It's a little pitiful, but he does try. So anyway, this is the Backseat Mogul Show. This is the show where we talk show business. And I wanted to start today asking everybody out there a question. What is it that you people want? One of my pet peeves in life is, and this directed at the show in particular, is people say, oh, Hollywood's running out of ideas. How many times have you heard that?
Several, and even I am accused of saying that, and I have said that in the past.
But Hollywood doesn't run out of ideas. It's all what you will go see in the theaters. Mm-hmm. That's what it's all about. Holy crap.
Hey, this is a G-rated show.
I didn't say the other word. There, that's enough light for me. Trust me. Anyway, that's not true. Hollywood doesn't run out of ideas. Hollywood has great ideas, but people don't go to those movies. There are rare exceptions. Get Out is one of the best suggestions, examples of that. All told, movie cost $5 million to make, grossed about $100 million. That's pretty good box office for it. But most time, people will not go see the movies that are originals. And now we're at the point where we don't really have big movie stars, with possibly the exception of Tom Cruise, even though that could be even debated these days, who are draws, who people will go to just because they're in a movie. I still go. I'll go see certain actor just because I love a certain actor.
I mean, Ryan Reynolds. I'll go see his. I don't care what he's doing. I will go see his movies.
Every movie, or just the Deadpool movies? Because that's.
No, I'm going to say every movie.
Okay, so have you seen all the movies he has on Netflix?
Not all of them.
I rest my case. He's not big enough draw to get you to go to the theater. Sorry.
Well,
you just proved your point wrong.
No,
this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. It's not that Hollywood's running out of ideas. It's that it's what we will go to see. And the recent box office proves it again and again. Mm-hmm. What was the biggest hit of the year so far?
So far, I'm going to say it's either the new Planet of the Apes movie or it's the Godzilla Kong.
It's probably Dune.
Oh, yeah.
Dune 2.
I forgot about that.
And then Godzilla Kong. And those are both, both of those are parts of a series. They're sequels. And you're, by the way, you're right about the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Mm-hmm.
It's expected to gross about $50 million over this weekend, which is a good number these days.
Yeah.
But take, for example, The Fall Guy. Now, The Fall Guy had a hit TV series behind it. Sure, they changed the story up a little bit, but just a little bit. So everybody knew when you saw The Fall Guy, everybody out there knew what The Fall Guy was. And if they didn't, the marketing they did was genius with Ryan Gosling showing up by smashing through glass or showing up as his Beavis and Butthead character from that hugely successful Saturday Night Live event. The marketing was huge. If you didn't know the Fall Guy TV series before that, you certainly knew that about the movie after that. Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt, two of the biggest stars in the world, especially Gosling, $30 million opening weekend. Major disappointment. And the reviews are through the roof. People, the critics love the reviews. The audience loves the movie. And yet, $30 million.
I will probably see it this week.
It's too late to help it, John.
I know.
I want to see it too. And I didn't get to theaters mainly because I was on vacation. By the way, we're back after 3 weeks, or I think. But it didn't do well. And it's fading fast, and Planet of the Apes is going to kick its butt this weekend. And then you got Furiosa, in a couple weeks coming up too, the new Mad Max movie. Challengers with Zendaya, another one of the biggest stars in the world.
She was in Dune. And
Challengers didn't flop, but it didn't do well. What was the gentlemanly movie?
Which I have not seen yet, which really surprised me. Ungentlemanly. No, there's another word before ungentlemanly. It's a World War II.
The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
There you go. And it takes place in World War II.
Barely hit $20 million.
Which, and it was only in our corner theater for 1 week.
Yeah. See, I'm looking, here's a list of the movies that are still currently in theaters and their box office position. Now, this is as of May 11th. So what is that? Well, they don't have this weekend's box office in there yet. But at number 10, there was The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, which $20 million, not great. But,
it's still in certain theaters.
Probably had a low budget. But, but I know it's still in theaters, John, but what weekend matters the most?
The first weekend.
First weekend, and not because it's really the second weekend that matters the most, because you want to see how the movie is going to fade. But for the industry, you want that number one position or the big numbers up front for publicity. Because the news will report it everywhere.
Now, this is a Guy Ritchie film, and I'm surprised it didn't do better, especially with Henry Cavill in it.
I know. Well, he had the same problem with Argyle earlier this year. Yeah. And I don't understand that either. Argyle was a lot of fun. By the way, I'm going to drop down a little bit. Dune 2 is number 12, and it's at $281 million. That's just the United States. So that's a big hit.
Now, this is part 2.
Yes. Part 1 would not be.
Well, that's right, because that came out last year.
2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Yeah. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, which was
enjoyed it
fine. And that was one that got bad notice when it first came out, and they weren't disappointed with the opening weekend. But it's got 110 million US now, domestically. So it did okay, Ministry with Abigail, which is sitting at $23 million and must have had a minuscule budget because it's one of those horror movies, but $23 million. So, Kung Fu Panda 4. Okay, here we go. Abigail's a horror film about a group of people who are locked in a house with a vampire girl.
But they don't know.
So that's pretty original, right? And $23 million. It's a horror movie. It's a little different. Who knows? Kung Fu Panda 4, which is another sequel, $189 million US domestic. We're just talking. Okay. Big hit because it's a sequel.
Now, real quick interjection. Kung Fu Panda. It is animation.
Yep.
I would say probably mainly originally geared toward children. But I got to tell you, it's the child in all of us adults. I have enjoyed the Kung Fu Panda series.
Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's fun. Jack Black's hysterical in him and, as a voice actor. But anyway, that's sitting there at $189 million. Godzilla Kong, we talked about earlier, $189 million US. That was one of the movies where they told the director, look, we got to cut your budget because you can't make a $200 million movie and only gross this amount. So they cut it down to 135 million, and it outgrossed the previous movies. So that's a hit for sure. Unsung Hero, I'm not sure what that is. That might be a does that ring a bell, Johnny?
Is that the one
based on a remarkable true story?
Yes.
A mom's faith against all odds inspired. Okay, whatever.
That's with the Reacher.
That's right.
Reacher.
Yeah, I wanted to see that because I want to see how he is in
that also. I've seen the trailer for it, and it's like it's one of for me the trailers. It tugs at your strings, your heartstrings.
Oh, I thought you meant my shoestrings. I thought I'm a trip or something.
But
it's a good story. It's based on a true story, and for that movie, it's probably pretty decent. $14 million. It's been out for 14 days. That's probably a pretty decent standing for that. Civil War is up next. Now there's another one. That one is an original. Then that one did okay, sitting at $63 million so far, but 28 days in release. Not a great number. The next one we'll get to in a minute. We're going to skip up to number 3, which is Tarot. About tarot cards. Number 3 is also a horror movie, very low budget, I'm sure. Sitting at $8.5 million so far, only 7 days in theaters. So, that one's probably going to end up making money. Challengers is number 2, sitting at $33 million with 2 weeks in it. They're not happy about that. They thought Zendaya would be a bigger draw. And like I said, I don't think there's anybody out there who is that draw anymore. They'll be back. They'll find somebody that'll do that. And I thought Ryan Gosling was the guy.
Now, for a lot of you out there who don't recognize the name Zendaya, which I'm sure most everybody does, she was the love interest in the latest incarnation of the Spider-Man movies.
Okay.
With Tom Holland.
Yeah, and she's in Dune and Dune 2 and quite good in those, by the way. Number 1 right now, as of the date before they add the weekend, because Planet of the Apes is going to be number 1, is The Fall Guy, which, it's number 1. Yay. Well, in 7 days, it's only hit 35 million, close to $36 million. And that's just not great. It should have been, I thought it'd be close to $80 million opening weekend. I thought it would do better than Godzilla Kong, but it didn't. So my question is, what do you people want to see? I mean, we'd really like to know this. So if you have an answer, send us an email at roughedgestudios@gmail.com. Because I want to find out what's going on with the box office. Everybody complains because there's nothing but sequels out there, but that's all they're going to see. These other movies with original ideas are falling by the wayside. And I just don't, Fall Guy is not even it's not a sequel, but it does have its previous incarnation. But how long, when was the Fall Guy canceled? When was the last season?
Oh gosh, I do know it is available on Amazon Prime Video. I just don't remember what the last season was.
Nope, that's not it. That's the 1981 through 1986. So that's 40 years. So maybe a lot of people don't know the Fall Guy. That's entirely possible, It's like I had a buddy named Keith who worked with me when I was working. And he would come in and say, announcing this loud voice, I saw LA Guns last night and they opened with they were doing great. And the kids the rest of the team, they're kids. I say kids, they're 20s, they would look at him like, you saw Guns? What? They had no idea who LA Guns was, and then of course my boss, David, asked everybody, well, did you know who Motorhead is? None of them knew Motorhead. And none of you know Motorhead. And Scott's got that tattooed on his arm. It's things change, things move on.
That's reminds me of a video I've seen where you've got these young people. And when I say young, under 21, and they put a rotary dial phone in front of them and it rings. Or no, they say, okay, I want you to make a phone call. With what?
Yeah, exactly.
How does it work?
Move the toaster and all.
There's no buttons.
Yeah, it's things change, and I get that. Things move on, but that's what happened with Fall Guy. I don't know, but I really am curious what people will go to the theaters and see. What would it take to get you to go out to a theater? That's the question for the day. roughedgestudios@gmail.com. Please write us and let us know, and we'll talk about it in a future show, because I don't understand it. I thought Fall Guy would have been a monster hit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, the reviews are great. The action, it's supposed to be the perfect summer movie. And now I just saw a headline somewhere on the internet here that said, forget Fall Guy, the summer movie season begins with Planet of the Apes. And I got to be honest, I did not know how Planet of the Apes would work. I mean, the movie looks really good, don't get me wrong, but but it's, again, here's another sequel. What is this, the fourth in that new series?
No.
There were 5 in the original.
They were talking about this on the radio the other day. I think this is like the 10th or 11th.
It's not that. It can't be.
Since the very beginning, since Charlton Heston was in the original.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to know how many in the new ones. I think it's 4 or 5. There's Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, War of the Planet of the Apes, and then I guess Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So there's 4 of them. Anyway,
I'm sure there's another one in the works.
Well, if this one's a hit, of course there is, and they are good. You know, even though I got to be honest, I prefer the old makeup apes. There's just something about them that was interesting. The special effects on the new ones are stunning. I saw 2 of the actors on a morning show this week, and they were doing their ape thing, but of course they didn't have their CGI on, you know, but it was pretty impressive how they learned to talk and walk like apes. To talk, I mean, you know.
But I agree with you. The practical effects. I've done practical effects before. And then you see the computer effects. I've never done computer effects, and I know that's a big market, but practical effects, I like something that I can actually touch.
You can't touch it. It's in a movie. It's just to touch a flat screen.
If I'm doing it. And that is an industry in itself. I mean,
not anymore. It's not.
We know somebody who does practical.
Well, you're talking about
makeup.
Makeup, right, for horror films and things like that. Yeah, even a lot of that's turned into CGI now.
Yeah.
And unlike you, I have no problem as long as it's good. I've seen some pretty crappy CGI in some pretty major movies, and that's not acceptable. But
what is it that you have always told me?
Shut up.
Besides that one.
Oh,
when they keep making sequel.
What do they care about? Is it because they've run out of ideas? No, it's because they want to put butts in the seats.
Exactly.
That's all it's about. So next time you want to say Hollywood's out of ideas, just remind yourself it's your fault. Maybe not you in particular, but that other guy. Because if you don't go see the original movies that aren't sequels, that aren't remakes, they're not going to make them.
You know what I'd like to see? And just to get the ball rolling.
Jaws: The Revenge?
With that, no, they've already done that one.
Yeah, but let's not remake that.
Take a TV show from the 60s, like Route 66, make a movie out of it, but make it an era piece, not a current day piece.
John, we just discussed how the Fall Guy tanked. And it's only 40 years old. How old is Route 66?
Oh, God, well, in the 60s.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Or, okay, how about this one? A Route 66 type movie with a second generation Corvette, 2 guys.
This is why you're not a movie executive.
Wait a minute.
You can go on, but
in present day, not an era piece, but present day.
Why?
Because you got these 2 guys from either the West Coast or the East Coast. One of them has this car, whether he buys it, inherits it, or whatever, and they decided, hey, let's do a Samus. This is why
you would go in and give that pitch, and the studio executive would say, "Thanks, no."
Yeah, probably.
It's not. You got to. Now, if it was something, well, even now, I don't know. With Fall Guy tanking, there's not going to be a whole lot of television remakes, because they're going to look at it. Because once somebody in the industry does it, everybody does it. Once something doesn't fit, something fails, nobody does it. They all back off. Well, and this is going to hurt. Not that we need it. There's other things out there, but people, you got to go to the movies. You got to see them, you know? And if you don't go, then they're not going to make them. They're going to keep making Planet of the Apes. They're already got another Jurassic World in the works. They're going to keep making Deadpool movies. They're going to keep making Iron Man movies. Anything you go see, they'll keep making. And it's not because they don't have any more ideas, even though some of those stories are getting pretty stale. They're gonna keep making them.
There's a remake TV series from it's on now. It's either CBS or NBC, maybe even ABC.
Excuse me.
Oh God, I can't remember the actor's name. No. First name begins with an S.
This is riveting.
Yeah, I know it. He was in Criminal Minds. He's now doing this police procedure.
Stanley Tucci.
Yeah, that's it. No.
Okay, what's your point?
It was a TV series back in the 70s, 80s.
Do you know anything about
Went
this
away.
series?
They made a movie of it, and now it is a TV series again, which has been on for a few
Which
years.
one is it?
Oh,
Why would you bring this up and not have this information?
because I had it on the tip of my tongue, and then when I started talking about it, I lost
All
it.
right. While Johnny's looking that up, because I need to find out what series that is, I would like to just tell you all out there, this is our 18th year doing the Backseat Mogul show. We started May 6th of 2006. We've been doing this for 18 years. And as you can tell, we're both old guys, especially Johnny over there. I think you said you were 62 when we started this show.
No, I was born in 1862.
Oh, that's right. I get those confused. But
no. When we started doing this show, I was in my 50s.
yeah, it was kind of a joke, John. 62, it'd make you 90.
Oh.
No, it wouldn't. It'd make you 80. But still.
There's
he's
I ain't too
getting
far
close.
from 80.
He's getting close.
It was SWAT.
Oh, of course.
SWAT was a TV series.
But you know what? SWAT was a TV series, the old school action TV show.
Mhm.
Then it was a movie
Mhm.
that was a pretty hardcore movie.
Mhm.
And then it became kind of a blend of the two with the new remake.
Right.
But
Which
and they've all been success. I think even the SWAT movie was successful.
well, it had a good cast, but
That does not mean it was successful.
well, that's true. And we've both seen a certain movie that had a great cast, but the movie really was terrible.
Let's see what if Box Office Mojo has the SWAT gross. I'm just curious. Now you got to keep in mind it's been what 20 years
Since the movie came out? Oh, I would say-
2003. Yeah, so 20 years.
Yeah.
That had a lot of people in it. Yeah, it did $200 million back in 2003. So that was a hit. There's no question about that. But yeah, but we're talking about today. And today I don't know. I just get so tired of people saying, oh, Hollywood's run out of ideas. No, they have plenty of ideas. They just only make the ones that they know that they hope you'll go see.
Mhm.
And that's what it is. So, if you go to the movies that are original and still go to the ones that are the big sequels, they'll keep making them. They'll keep taking those chances. We're in a world now where the budgets of these movies cannot be $200, $300 million. There are exceptions. I guarantee you the new James Bond movie is going to have at least a $250 million budget. I guarantee you that the new Avatar movie is probably going to have a $500 million budget. But they're very rare, as is proved by the Godzilla Kong movie. They had to lower that budget down to $135 million. There's a new Star Trek movie in the works, and I guarantee you they're going to bounce that back too, because the budget of the last one was $175 and it barely made a profit. So they're going to bounce that back probably to 135.
Have they picked a director for that one yet?
Not yet. Nope. And by the way, they have greenlit and then red lit this movie so many times, I'm not holding my breath. The only thing that's interesting, and this is just a fantasy, I'm sure on my part, is that Quentin Tarantino's next movie was supposed to be The Critic,
Mhm.
which was about a film critic
Mhm.
in Los Angeles.
I remember.
And he's backed out of that. He doesn't want to do that now as his last film. And I'm thinking, is there a chance he'll do that Star Trek movie that he wrote? That would be awesome.
Or
He said that he said at one point he wanted to make a gangster movie. And I thought, well, here's my money already. Take Tarantino doing a gangster movie. And then the rumor is, and none of this has been substantiated, is that the story he wrote for the Star Trek movie was a sequel to one of the original Star Trek episodes where Kirk and Spock and the gang go down to a planet where it's all like 30s and 40s gangsters.
which, like you said, the original did that.
That's, yeah, I just said it was.
I know.
fun. You were just interjecting
confirming.
for no reason.
Yes,
Yes.
confirming. Yeah.
And what happens in that episode at the end of it? McCoy leaves was it a phaser or a communicator?
Communicator.
And the last line in that show is Spock says, "I hope they don't come out after us." Well, the rumor is that in Tarantino's script, they come out after us. And that would be awesome. But that's a fantasy. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Tarantino is going to be choosy. Tarantino also said he was not going to do The Hateful Eight because the script leaked, but he ended up doing The Hateful Eight, and what a great movie that is. But we'll see. I don't know.
Okay, maybe like you said, this new Star Trek. He might do a Star Wars, or what we were hoping for.
Not Star Wars.
I thought he wanted to do a Star Wars.
No.
Oh. Hopefully,
John.
What
show is Captain Kirk in?
Star Trek.
Thank you.
I know, that's why I said Star Trek, and then I said Star Wars.
He's not interested in Star Wars. He said he's not interested in Star Wars.
Okay. Maybe that's a redirect. But maybe, just maybe, it'll be the next James Bond movie.
I don't think so. They don't have a director for that yet either. But I think that they've bumped heads once, and that's going to be the end of that. Because here's what happened with that. Tarantino and Pierce Brosnan went to the Broccoli family and said, look, we got this idea for a James Bond movie. We want to go back to the beginning. We want to remake Casino Royale, but we want to do it as an era piece. We want to do it in black and white. We want to make it this era piece. And they said, no, get out. And I can understand that. James Bond movies have a certain expectation.
Right.
But then they went ahead and did Casino Royale anyway, and based it pretty much on the original novel and just set it in modern day.
And it actually did have a couple of black and white scenes in it.
And it turned out terrific.
Yeah.
I remember everybody, the blonde James Bond. Well, look where he is nowadays, folks. So, and by the way, there was some rumors about that actor whose name I don't have right now.
I was going to ask you that.
But nothing has been signed or agreed yet. Now, either he's playing hard to get, and why wouldn't you?
Or maybe it will be Henry Cavill.
Or it could be anybody at this point.
That's true. Me, could be me. No, could be me.
Until recently, and I'm saying this because that offer for Aaron Taylor Johnson, is that his name? I think so. The casting director for the James Bond movies said she always laughed when she saw those things about who's in line to be Bond next and all this. And she said, we haven't even started looking yet. And I think that she might know, considering she's the casting director. But now I think it's in full force. I think something's going on. It may be Aaron Taylor. It might be somebody else. Mm-hmm. Like I said, the rumor was he was given the offer, and he'd be good. He was excellent in Bullet Train. But that doesn't mean he hasn't signed it yet. So like he's either playing hard to get, and I would if I was him, because they got big money there, and you're committed to at least 2-3 films. So, but we'll see. I don't know any more than that right now.
I still would like to see dadgummit, an American.
This is what happens when you age, folks.
What was the Dean Martin?
Matt Helm.
Yeah, Matt. Thank you. I would really like to see a new Matt Helm movie. Who would you get?
What's the problem for that, John? Who knows who Matt Helm is these days?
Well, nobody knew who he was way back when.
Yeah, yes, they did. There was a best-selling novel series.
Oh. Well, maybe.
No, there's no maybe. It's not going to happen.
But if they were to do that, who would you?
Clooney.
Who?
George Clooney. He was trying to do it himself. He was trying to set up a Matt Helm series.
Yeah, but right now, wouldn't he be too old for
that? Yeah, but you could de-age him.
I
don't know. I'm not even going to imagine it because it's not going to happen. You're not going to get a Matt Helm film at this point. I'm sorry, but those days have passed.
But I really enjoyed those movies.
Because they're not cheap to make, This new board is freaking me out. There's little lights dancing and everything on it. It's pretty freaky. Let's see what else we got here.
Oh,
okay.
I found out something, which I don't know if you're going to talk about this yet or not. So maybe I will.
Why don't you do it, and I'll springboard off of you and turn off your mic if it's.
One of my favorite TV shows, which is currently on CBS, is NCIS.
How do you spell that?
I'm not sure. I-N.
I didn't ask you to do it. I just.
Oh.
I did ask you to do it.
I was going to say INSEA.
I shouldn't have asked.
No. Mark Harmon is coming back to NCIS, but it's in a new TV series, which is supposed to be called NCIS Origins. And he's basically going to be a narrator. And they're
Is he going to be like, I remember back in the old days when we were starting NCIS, and they do a fade back in this one?
He ain't that old.
No, but
actually, he might be.
They could put makeup on him.
But,
why is one of our mics?
No, there's going to be another actor, obviously, playing a younger Leroy Jethro Gibbs. What I thought would be cool if they got one of his sons who portrayed a young Leroy Jethro Gibbs in the TV series when they would do like a flashback.
Right.
And, but I don't remember who they said was playing.
I got this notice that my mic is muted. I hope it's your mic because your mic's supposed to be muted.
Could be. I hear you plain as day.
I can realize that, but I don't know if everybody out there can hear me. So I'm going to try something real quick, folks. You're going to get this weird echo, but just give me a second. Okay. It's your mic. So we should be fine.
Oh, then nobody can hear me.
No, see, this is the thing.
Oh, no.
Johnny,
I was just asking.
It's technology. Okay. You're on the same stream as I am. So if your mic is on and my mic is on, we have an echo. So if we put your mic through my mic through the system, we'd get no echo. So your mic has to be muted.
Oh,
but it's only muted on the computer. It's not muted on the mixing board.
But then somebody said they couldn't hear one of us talking.
Who?
I don't know, whoever it is you said you got the notice from.
It was from YouTube.
Oh, my bad. I thought it was one of our listeners.
No. I was hoping that people could hear, but it's on YouTube. Anyway, so we saw a couple trailers this morning. We first watched the trailer for Twisters. Mm-hmm. John was a much bigger fan of the first film than I was. I enjoyed the first film. What I always thought was interesting about the first Twister movie was that Jan de Bont was the director. He also directed Speed. And Jan de Bont wanted to do a Godzilla movie. And he lost out. He didn't get the chance to direct it because somebody else made that 2000 giant lizard movie masquerading as Godzilla. Anyway, and I thought that Jan de Bont did make a Godzilla movie because Twister, if you think about it, is kind of a Godzilla movie. Every once in a while, this giant thing comes along and stomps your ass. Mm-hmm. So I thought that it kind of worked because he wanted to do a Godzilla movie, and he did it with tornadoes. Now, Twisters is the new sequel. And it's got a terrific cast. It's got Glenn Powell, who is turning into this guy might be one of those guys that people go see watch at movies. He was in that Anybody But You, that romantic comedy that did so well. He's in this, and he was in Top Gun Maverick. This guy might be one of those people. It also has Katie O'Brien, Daisy Edgar Jones, Kiernan Shipka, and Maura Tierney. It is directed by Lee Isaac Chung, and I don't know what he's done, but I'll find out right now. And the director credits, I love the writer credits. The writer credits are Michael Crichton, dead, Joseph Kaczynski, and Anne-Marie Martin. I'm assuming Crichton's on there because he wrote the original or a novel or something based on it. I don't know. Lee Isaac Chung, by the way, is an A24 director, and his films have been Minari, which was a terrific movie, and Lucky Life, and he's done an episode of The Mandalorian, which is about the closest I see here to an action-adventure movie for him. So it'd be very interesting to see how that comes out. The trailer, though, looks pretty entertaining, don't you think?
And you're watching it, like we were discussing off air. I grew up in what's called Tornado Alley back in northeastern Oklahoma.
That's on the east side of Ventura, right?
Way east. But I remember we would have tornado drills, and you never really saw, tornadoes you could see. Earthquakes, you can't. You just feel them when they happen. Because I don't think they have a really good warning system for earthwakes. But with
no, they're getting better though. They are getting better.
But with tornadoes, you do get an early warning system. And when those things go off, they tell you should get into a doorway. If you got a storm shelter, get into that. If you're driving down the road and the road has a ditch running along it, stop your car and get in the ditch. As a matter of fact, they do that in an episode of Young Sheldon.
Can we stick to Twisters, please?
But that's what I'm getting at.
I know, but you're taking a long time to get there.
Sorry. But I quite enjoyed the first one, the Twister, which came out in 96 because of where I grew up.
Sure, that makes a difference.
And I'm looking forward to this one too, because it's not just singular one Twister.
Is that why it's called Twisters?
Correct.
Ah, I saw that there's a scene in the trailer where we got twins. We got twins. I'm looking forward to it. I won't pay to see on IMAX, which I probably should, because it'd probably be incredible on IMAX.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm very interested in it, and especially because Glenn Powell is in it. I always want to call that guy Glenn Campbell. Always want to call him.
You know what theater would be great for this movie?
One in Oklahoma?
No, Panorama. The Dome.
Cinerama.
Oh, I got the Rama part. The Cinerama.
It would, but it's not open again yet. So.
I remember when you and I went down there and we saw Last Action Hero.
I've seen Jaws about 250 times, and I saw it at the Cinerama Dome, and it was like a brand new movie to me. It was awesome. And then I saw it again because they released it in 3D, and I just realized something I wanted to talk about. And it was, again, the 3D was not necessary, but there was a couple times that it got you.
Was it good? Better than one of the sequels, which had 3D?
Well, of course, because that sequel was so it was almost a comic cartoon. Back to the box office real quick. I wanted to mention something. The number 2 movie last week, and this again proves my point about what people will go see. So Fall Guy was number 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
$30 million opening weekend. Actually, I think it was like 28 million. What was number 2? If you can guess this without cheating, I will give you a quarter.
I heard this. What was it? I'm trying to remember what came out last week or last weekend.
I'm not going to give any clues because it's a big surprise.
Oh, clock. No.
The answer is Star Wars: The Phantom Menace.
That's right. Yes, I forgot. My
so
bad.
People don't go to see the new movies that are out, but they'll go see an old Star Wars movie that is famously maligned by most of the public.
Which was Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Episode 1, which was actually the 4th in the series.
It's like Nickelback. Everybody hates Nickelback, but they've sold 40 million records.
Wow.
Everybody hates Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, but it's number 2 at the box office. Some weird stuff going on there. All right. The other trailer we watched this week was for Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, we watched the red band version, and if you want to see the red band version, and I heartily suggest you do, you have to go to YouTube. You have to sign in because red band basically means it's rated R. Mm-hmm. And if you don't sign in, they can't verify your age and you can't watch it. So go to YouTube, sign in, and prepare to have your socks blown off. What did you think about that trailer, Johnny?
I quite enjoyed it. I can't wait for it. I mean, I love the Deadpool series, and anything that Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool does, I look forward to it.
There's no better matching of role and performer than Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds. He just fills that suit with everything from his body to his wit to his insanity, all kinds of digs at Disney all the way through the thing. More F-bombs than maybe Pulp Fiction just in the trailer. it's insane. But that's, in the trailer, the first trailer, not the red band one, he says, "I'm the Marvel Jesus." He might be the Marvel Jesus because he's going to come along and I think save the box office for this summer. I think that movie's going to be a monster.
Oh,
and I can't wait to see it. And that's one. Yep. $23 for IMAX. Here's my $23 I'm in. By the way, I bought my tickets for Furiosa. Mm-hmm. Going to see it on IMAX at the Valencia Theater out there. And on May 23rd, cannot wait. Mad Max Fury Road was the first movie of all the movies I've seen in my life that when I got up after it was over, my legs were shaking because it was so mind-blowingly good. The reviews are out for this one. They say it's really good, but it's no Fury Road. Well, there's no way you could do Fury Road twice in a row. But I'm very excited to see it. And Johnny was asking me earlier why they didn't get Charlize Theron again for the part. And the reason is it's a prequel, and it's an origin prequel. So it's way too many years for Charlize to play that role. And somebody asked Charlize, are you angry that they replaced you with a younger actress? And she's all, no, it makes sense. The character's younger. Why would they hire me back? So she got it too. And I just, the director, George Miller, he makes great movies. Babe, Babe, the first one was, he produced it, but he didn't direct it. And that's one of my favorite movies ever.
Oh, it was great.
That movie is, and then Babe, Pig in the City is a whole different kind of movie, but it's also really good, just dark and not what you expected. And George Miller actually did direct that one. He also was at war with the studio because he told the studio it was not ready to be released yet. And they wanted it out the day before Thanksgiving. And so they released it anyway. And he was very unhappy that that movie got out before he was done tinkering with it. So maybe one of these days we'll see Babe, Pig in the City, the director's edition. But I think that George Miller is going to go down for being the Mad Max guy. And I'm okay with that because nobody does those like he does.
I was going to say, how many of the Mad Max the movies based on Mad Max has George Miller directed?
All of them.
Good.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things I like about his movies, and I don't know about this new one, but the majority of them, which is what we talked about earlier, are practical effects. He does not use, if any, a whole lot of...
He does use CGI, and he may use CGI more in this movie, but if you watch the trailer, you see there's a lot of those wild car stunts that he is famous for, and for a good reason, because nobody does a movie like that like he does. I'm telling you, Mad Max Fury Road was just freaking mind-blowing. I should probably watch it again before I go see a Furiosa, but it doesn't even matter really. So that was the two trailers that we watched. And then there was a movie that I watched that Johnny hasn't seen yet. He didn't even know it existed today. Johnny, hold up that box.
Oh, this?
Nope.
This one?
Nope.
Oh, this one?
Yep. Johnny brought Pop-Tarts today. Not knowing that I was going to talk about Unfrosted.
I did not know that.
Which is the Jerry Seinfeld movie on Netflix right now about the creation of Pop-Tarts. Now,
that's really funny.
It was pretty good timing, actually. Unfrosted is not getting a lot of favorable reviews. I think it was sitting at 45% last time I looked at it. But I have to tell you, my wife and I sat down and we watched it and we laughed. We thought it was funny. We related to it because we're cereal bowl generation. And I think the mistake that I think that what's happening is people are thinking it's supposed to be a real story about how Pop-Tarts came about. It's not. Do you remember the Weird Al Yankovic movie?
Which one?
The one that about his life that Daniel Radcliffe played him?
I have not seen that one.
You need to see that. It's funny because it starts out for the first 10 minutes. You think, oh, this is going to be a pretty interesting movie about the life of Weird Al Yankovic. And then you realize, wait a minute, there's stuff going on here that couldn't possibly have happened, because all of a sudden in the middle of it, he's having a romance with Madonna. And the whole reason Madonna's interested in him because she wants him to parody one of her songs because their songs get a bump when Weird Al parodies them. You find out that he wrote Eat It before Michael Jackson wrote Beat It, and Michael Jackson stole it from him. None of it's true. It's just supposed to be this wild, stupid comedy. And that's what Unfrosted is. Unfrosted is not the telling of how Pop-Tarts came into existence, even though it is, but it's more about, for example, I'm just watching the trailer in the background as it's going. There's a ravioli that comes to life. Do you think that really happened, folks? No. It's just a silly, funny movie with an incredible cast. And I, for one, loved it. But like I said, I know a lot of people are hating on it, but it just sit there and have fun, enjoy it. You know what it's like? This came into my head right now. It's like a Pop-Tart. It's sweet, it's delicious, and it's utterly meaningless.
Which network is it on?
It's on Netflix right now. But let me tell you the cast, because you can blow your mind. Jerry Seinfeld, of course. Let's see who else here. Jim Gaffigan, Christian Slater, Hugh Grant. There's a lot of people. Patrick Warburton, Max Greenfield, Amy Schumer. The list goes on and on. It's just a terrific cast. All, of course, just working with their buddy, Jerry Seinfeld, I'm sure. No sign of Larry David, though. which I thought was interesting.
Jim Gaffigan.
I said Jim Gaffigan.
I was repeating you.
You were. One of my
echoing
favorite
you.
scenes in the movie is that they're kind of having an argument because what it is Kellogg's is trying to beat Post to the first toaster pastry, which by the way, really existed. Post did have their toaster pastry, it just didn't survive. So they're in an office and they're having like this argument, and finally one of them says, "Stop! You know what we need to do? We need to go have a bowl." They walk down to the cafeteria where there's a cereal machine. They pour themselves some cereal. They're sitting there eating bowls of cereal while they're finishing their talk. just silly stuff like that. And you know what? That probably really happened. That they probably did have a cereal machine where you could go back and have a bowl of cereal whenever you wanted. Why can't I work at a place like that?
Speaking of cereal, you noticed I did not get into your Count Chocula.
John, see, this is one of those stories that requires a lot of explanation. Then John shouldn't have brought up in the show. He house sat for us for 2 weeks, and he's proud of himself because he didn't eat my Count Chocula. He ate all my damn hot dogs, though. So,
but I didn't go after the Nathan corn dogs.
You should have.
I know it. Were they good?
You know what's funny about the Nathan corn dogs? They're actually bagel dogs.
Oh.
Here's what happens. You bake them. I put mine in the air fryer. And you take them out and they're hot. So you wrap them in a towel and then you walk into the other room to eat them. But what you don't know is that the hot dog slips out of the bagel and falls on the floor.
And Zoe,
I beat her to it and I washed it off and I ate it anyway. But
good.
It just,
second rule.
It had to be 2 seconds. Otherwise it'd be down Zoe. Yeah. Zoe is the pug who eats anything. But it just literally slid out. But anyway,
she doesn't just eat.
You could have had all the Count Chocula you want because I got 4 boxes in my office that Shelly doesn't know about.
Ooh, she does now.
Yeah, I love my Count Chocula. All right, so we're going to end the show here. We've pretty much done everything for this week. I did want to go through some things again real quickly. Give me a second because I was not prepared. I'm kind of embarrassed about that. But hold on, folks. Thank you for listening as always. It's good to be back after those few weeks that I was gone. So we're uploading these things now so we can do a brief recap. So we talked about that's not going to work. I put them in the wrong place. Godzilla Kong, we're going to have to deal with it. Godzilla Kong and how it did very well at the box office compared to movies that didn't. We talked about Furiosa, which I already have my tickets for and can't wait to go see. We talked about Fall Guy, which unfortunately is not doing what I expected it would do. And I don't know why. Again, if there's something you want to see in theaters, tell me. roughedgestudios@gmail.com. I'd be very interested in your answers, and we'll talk about it again on a future show. By the way, we may have a way to take phone calls again on this system. So maybe we'll start introducing that as well. We also talked about Challengers, the Zendaya movie that just is not cutting it either. And finally, we're talking about Unfrosted, which is the Jerry Seinfeld movie about the making of the Pop-Tart. Silly movie. It's almost on an airplane level. It's so silly, but I loved every minute of it.
Another silly movie, which we didn't talk about today.
Well, it's not, it just came out, didn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it last week.
Yeah. So why would we talk about it again today?
So we talk about it next week.
Okay. Yeah. I think, when is If released? Is it out this week or is it?
Oh gosh, I'm not sure.
Let's look at the schedule on our friends boxofficemojo.com and see what it says. Wow. Looks like it's farther away than I thought.
Oh,
If May 17th.
Oh, gotta wait that long.
That's just next week.
Oh yeah.
And then May 24th, Furiosa, Mad Max.
That's
Saga.
interesting. It opens May 17th, but isn't that a Monday?
It's probably a Friday. What's today? Yeah, it's a Friday. Or it's actually a Thursday because
For some reason, I was thinking it was a Monday.
it's the drugs, John.
Yeah. Not enough.
Anyway, yeah, that's it. So, Johnny, let's open up those.
There's another movie I can't wait to see, and that's Back to Black.
What is that about?
Amy Winehouse.
Oh, yeah, that should be. I hope. They haven't had good luck with biography pictures lately. There's another one that the Bob Marley movie didn't do what they hoped it would do. I don't know. Open up those Pop-Tarts. Let's get it.
Here we go.
We're gonna end the show with the Pop-Tart because again, I love Pop-Tarts, and I'll tell you a quick story. Once I was sitting at work, and I ate a lot of Pop-Tarts, and my wife said you shouldn't eat Pop-Tarts; they're not good for you. I thought, yeah, we'll see about that. So I Googled it, This is about 10 years ago. I Googled it, and the first article to come up was, open it up. I'm not going to have two of them because I'm going to tell you the story why I'm not going to have two of them. So I Googled it, and the first article that came up was the 14 worst foods you can eat. I thought, oh, damn, 14. I clicked on it. I read the article, and I read it from the bottom. Wasn't 14, wasn't 13, wasn't 12, wasn't 11, wasn't the rest of the numbers. It was the number one worst food you could possibly eat. Now, I don't know if that's a true story or not. That's just the article I read, but I cut back on my Pop-Tart consumption after that point.
They recommend you toast these.
Yeah, but you don't have to.
That's right.
There's 3 recommendations. Eat them straight out of the box,
which is what we're doing.
And also to toast them, which is the best way to eat them, in my opinion. And they now tell you can freeze them, put them in the freezer for 10 minutes and eat them like an ice cream treat. So cheers to you all out there. Thanks for listening. We're going to have our Pop-Tart, and we will see you next week on the Backseat Mogul Show.
What you didn't tell them about?
What's that?
Our chicken fried bacon.
Oh, no. Johnny brought... Look at this. We're eating a Pop-Tart, and we had chicken fried bacon earlier. Yes, chicken fried bacon. You heard it right. This place called Cafe 126, just down the road from us here, they make chicken fried bacon. And it's just like you open it up, and it's just what you expect. It's big slabs of bacon coated with chicken fried batter. And to make things worse, covered with gravy.
Oh,
and then John adds salt and pepper to it. Oh, yeah. I added pepper. And I love salt, but there's plenty of salt in that.
It's really surprising for what you, Dougie, your son, myself, and a few other people that we know.
We're still alive.
The debauchery we've done to ourselves, and we're still alive.
Now, got to be a little, yeah, exactly. All right, folks. Again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next week here on the Backseat Mogul Show.
Good.
Pop-Tarts rule. Brought to you by The Grape, Ventura County's premier jazz venue and cocktail lounge, located at 2733 East Main Street in Ventura. For menu and music schedule, visit them online at thegrape.club. This has been a Rough Edge Studios production.